Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Triforce podcast. I was on holiday for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks, man. How was that?
I've got like a golden aura of just ever so slightly tanned on me. Like,
nice.
Like, well, actually, I don't know if I have actually. I'm looking at my arm now, and I can't see the difference between the front and the back. But I feel like I should have done because I was in the sun.
Where'd you go, Marbs?
I went to Paris. For TwitchCon.
Oh, how was TwitchCon?
TwitchCon was good.
All right.
I've talked about this a bit. It's strange because you guys have been to some sort of TwitchCon event.
I went
before,
to one
right?
in Berlin a few years ago.
I've never been to TwitchCon, but I've been to cons. I've been to conventions before.
BitchCon. I saw you there, Lewis, at BitchCon.
Oh, yeah, I go every year. Yeah. I'm a speaker.
You're the main draw.
The main event, yeah.
So yeah, I got there quite late. Everyone else had gone the day before and done like some tourist stuff, but I, for some reason, got there late and I missed the partner party, which is like the thing that people go for.
Yeah,
right.
But it's never gonna be like that. You go there and then you go to the actual party. It's one of those.
Yeah.
Things. You don't want to go to the fucking Twitch.
Yeah, it's got this weird dynamic to it, which I've spoken about a little bit, but where basically everyone in the room is a partner, right? So everyone has gotten enough subscribers, or somehow, or in some way, to get to be partnered, right? Which I don't know what the limit is on Twitch anymore. But we had to buy our own tickets. It's not like we get to go there for free. You know, it's kind of Twitch does want to monetize their partners as well as their audience, right?
Oh yeah.
And so it's this huge room, which is the partner lounge, right? Which is supposed to be quite glamorous, but isn't really. There's a lot of people in it. Like, I'd say 500 maybe.
Jeez.
And everyone, again, like when you walk around and you're looking for people that you might recognize, okay?
Right.
But they're also looking at people who they might recognize.
Yeah.
And so you have this weird dynamic where you're not sure if people are looking at you because they recognize you or they think you're recognizing them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of weird, like going around.
Did you recognize anyone?
Yeah, I recognize some big streamers. Yeah, and I recognized my friends. Obviously, I got there right at the end though, right as soon as. But it was in like a greenhouse. It was super hot in there. It was like everyone was sweating.
Why would you do that in fucking July? Where should we have the party? In a greenhouse? You got to
in
be
a non-air conditioned.
No air conditioning.
That's ridiculous.
It's been hot too, right?
It was hot. It was hot. So
in Europe,
you know,
not
Duncan
here so much, but
I got to the party, and Duncan and Ravs were right at the entrance, and I was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And they were like, "There's a fan." And they pointed up, and there was a fan in the ceiling, like, and so they were like standing under the only fan in the place.
Oh my god!
And they were like, "This is the best spot. We're holding it," you know. And
he was like, "So you're telling me
can you take over holding this place while I go to the loo?"
There was only one
like,
fan at TwitchCon. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is unusual.
It's a pun. You get it?
Funny,
yeah, I get
funny
the pun.
stuff.
Yeah, I was just I got
so
it, but
clever.
I just could not be bothered
it was so
to
good.
follow up on it. at
Well,
all.
it's
But we went to another party. We went to another party. I'm just going to plow onwards.
Yeah.
Went to another party, which was on a boat. It was nice. And then we went to a party with the Tiltify people who do the charity stuff.
Oh yeah.
Met a load of the charity people. That was nice. And we went to various other bars and parties. Yeah, didn't really do the actual con.
No.
Which is, again, you never do.
No. One never does.
Even even the times I've been to BlizzCon, you watch the opening ceremony, and then the rest of the time you just hang out with people that you know that are there.
Yeah.
You don't go to all the panels and stuff.
Well,
I mean, some people do,
yeah.
I guess, but I mean,
it's useful to know some of our guys in the group are actually quite socially competent, unlike me. And so they make sure we're on all the lists for all these various parties. There was a TikTok party we went to.
Nice.
Which is pretty weird. And also, like, the crowd was, I want to say, very high quality.
Right.
At the TikTok party.
Oh,
everyone was beautiful. I felt like the oldest, ugliest man there. And I was probably.
But on TikTok, are there like on Instagram stuff? Are there like big influencers?
Oh, hell
I
yeah,
thought
dude.
TikTok was just kind of random. Like,
no,
it was just,
that's some huge.
oh
ones.
look,
And
I found somebody throwing up, and then it's
who
like,
they are. You know, you talk to someone, and they're a million. Yeah, they're the expert throwing up. You know, they've thrown up, or they throw up in every country in the world. That's their thing.
Oh right,
you
okay.
know. And they've got a million.
People, they've got like a
10 million
bajillion people So, I mean, these are the people, you know, the style that you see everyone doing on TikTok. They're the ones who either came up with or popularized that. Like, these are like the progenitors of all the...
Either that or they're beautiful.
Yeah, or they're just
it.
Absolutely stunning.
They're really on it, and they do all of the trends. And they publish like 10 or 12 TikToks every hour.
Man, I don't know how I managed to insulate myself from this, but like, this is not the TikTok that I use or have ever seen before.
Right.
Like, mostly, like, if I see TikTok, it's usually like there's no sound. It's like subtitle, like somebody talking about some crap that I don't even read, or it's just like I said, somebody puking or somebody like flipping a bottle or something like that. Like it's just like these really short little, sometimes interesting things, but not overly. But I didn't realize that they had like big.
I don't think you spent enough time on it.
No, well, I don't actually use the app itself either.
Well, there you go.
Like, I just see it through whatever, like
well, it's algorithm based, whatever,
you know?
Right? So if something's popular and doing popular, it'll be shown to more people, and it'll just get more and more popular. And we've got a guy, you know, Tom Bates in the office. He does animations that are really cool.
Yeah, right.
And he's built up this massive TikTok following over the last couple of months.
Marmalade. Yeah.
It's Nigel and Marmalade. You should check it out. You probably already know it.
I know it.
I do not know that, but I will check it out.
Yeah, they're really funny. They're really good. Like, it's just possible for people who are really talented to just, you know, get some stardom through the algorithm. I'm sure there's tons of people who are really talented getting no stardom, but, you know, that's just how it works.
Yeah, it's like kind of like what happened on YouTube with me. I was like so talented, and then I just got really, really insanely popular as well, which is...
so it works the other way around as well, doesn't it?
My TikToks are so good, and they never get any love. I'm one of the best TikTokers around.
How many TikToks
What kind of content are you pushing?
5.
It's 5.
What's your demo?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. I did once where I tried to come up with new hand signals for things that there are no hand signals for.
What are your optics and reach? Like,
wow.
I'm going to use so many buzzwords.
Sounds so niche. So you're making your own sign language.
Yeah. So like the one I came up with was if you need the toilet, there's no way to signal that you need the toilet. There's loads for do you want another pint? Or, you know, so there's lots of hand signals. Before I need the toilet, or where is the toilet? There's nothing. You've got to mouth it. Where is the toilet? So I came up with you cross your fingers one over the other, like you've got your legs crossed, like you're trying to hold it in. That'll do as a symbol. You just cross your fingers at someone like that, one over the other.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh, he's holding on because that's the symbol for he needs the toilet. So you just
This is actually great.
I know, it's handy. No one's come up with it. That was my best
I feel
bet.
like toilets are so well signposted anyway. Like, you should never really overly struggle to find a toilet if you just look at
it. If you're in a busy pub or a restaurant, they don't put bogs this way in a good restaurant. You've got to ask.
Do they? Do they not?
Yeah. No, right. You've got to, you know, you're generally loitering around near the kitchen and they're like, it's just through there.
I feel like if any time in a restaurant I get up and I go into I'm going somewhere where I'm walking around, they know I'm probably going to look for the bathroom. Yes. And I'm like, the hand signal was just like, I tilt my head. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
And then they're like, in the back. Do you know what I mean?
I'm saying, imagine if we're having a meeting and I want you to wrap it up or to make an excuse, like, so I can leave, but we don't want to reveal that I need to go to the toilet. Or, you know, I'm with a couple and I need the loo and I want the other guy to say, I just need to chat to you for a sec. Anything. I can just give them the fingers crossed.
Right, but that's like a covert, that's like a gang sign.
But I'm saying you could use it in many different ways. There's a lot of situations where letting people know you need the loo without having to say, I need the loo, would be kind of handy. That's what I'm saying.
You can just announce very loudly, is there anywhere a guy, what's a guy got to do to find somewhere to jack off in this place? You know what I mean? Like,
gotta squeeze out a turd. Anybody know a good place? Gotta take a big stinky dump.
Gotta take a big sticky one, yeah.
Sir, this is a funeral home. I need to do it. I'll give you the hand signal through the window.
It's not on TikTok.
You ignored the hand signal.
So this real popular TikToker taught me some sign language.
Yeah. It's gonna catch on. I feel like that's not actually that bad of an idea, but I also feel like there's nothing for it to grapple onto, right? There's no, you know, You need to start with the trends.
No, I
and
don't
then
care.
move into original content after you've got a big audience.
I'm not into
right?
it. I was just fucking around.
I think you're doing it the wrong way round.
I don't want to do it. I want to be known for making TikToks that aren't popular. Mission accomplished so far. Let's see if we can keep it up.
You've done it.
I've got a vibe on my Instagram. I never smile on my Instagram. All the pictures are just of me not smiling, and people now.
That's cool though.
It is cool, but it's
you look cool.
really not smiling, even in situations where you think you might be smiling.
Well, like the birth of a child, and you're just like
I'm just
straight
holding
face.
it.
You're just holding
passive.
it, and you look annoyed.
Me getting
It's
a giant novelty check, and me just straight facing. I just think it's funny.
You look burdened
you need to
by
post
it.
more, honestly, dude. Like, it's funny.
Instagram is what the engagement is so much better than Twitter, especially now. Like if I post on Instagram,
Twitter's engagement's been
it's shit.
Yeah, well, I don't like they changed a bunch of stuff around, right? When Elon took over.
Yeah, I mean, but that, and also if you follow a lot of people, messages just get lost.
Yeah.
I find on Instagram stuff jumps out at you more because it's by its nature, it's all visual. So the people that are posting dog shit, eventually I just unfollow them. But I just think it's just much better.
Do you unfollow them or do you just mute them?
I've unfollow.
Oh wow, that's sassy. I only mute people.
Yeah, I'm a mute. I'm a big muter as well.
If they
actually,
post dog shit, I'm out.
I've told you this before.
Why?
You know, you can upset people if you unfollow them.
Yeah. What if you meet them in real life and they're like, "Why did you unfollow me?"
Exactly. I don't want to have that awkward conversation.
Look,
but I don't mind having the awkward conversation. Why do you never reply to me?
The list of people I follow on Instagram is pretty bad. You know,
when you meet them, what you can do is you can give them the signal.
Oh, I really don't want to meet them.
For the I need to take a massive stinky dump, and then you just leave. Maybe more people need to use that to get out of.
But the sticky dump excuse.
Yeah, the really kind of over the top funny excuse, right? Because like, imagine someone knocks on your door and you're wanking in there, right? And they're like, "Are you wanking in there?" It's a joke, and you're like, "Yeah, ha ha," right? You have to like. It's hard. If actually you weren't wanking in there, and they knocked on the door and was like, "Oh, are you wanking in there?" And then you're like,
"No."
You can lean into the joke at that point, right? Because you're not taken. They didn't get it. They didn't guess right.
Okay, how about this though? You do an audio recording of yourself jacking off really loud, right? All the grunts and groans and everything, and you could even like if you want to put some. You could have like some light role play in there as well and stuff if you want to.
Right.
And then you leave it in the bathroom loud enough so that a passerby could hear it, right? Yeah. And then so they're outside the door listening to it, and then they call into you and they say, "Are you in there jacking off?" And then you're right behind them.
They're not going to say that.
You snuck up right behind them and you're like, "No."
No. What they're going to do is they're going to go downstairs and talk to the people in the lounge and say, "I think Lewis is in his room."
Even better, you might have like a gathering of people listening to your jack off tape, and then you're just right behind. You sneak up behind them and do a huge prank on them. But then you have to explain that you did do an audio recording of yourself jacking off for the prank
to prank someone.
I
guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes there's a fine line between making a joke about something. Like imagine you just wanted to get out of a meeting. You didn't actually need a shit, but you could use the "I need a shit" like as a joke. Do you know what I mean? To get out of it.
What if you use the "I need a shit" excuse and then you go to another meeting, but you don't realize that somebody from the other meeting is in the same meeting, and then you use it again because there's no way you're taking 2 shits in one day. Like in
you're like juggling meetings,
close succession, but you just drop the ball a little bit. They're 2 big meetings, and there was somebody.
But then you could just, if they called you on that, you could just say, "Well, I had some bad prawns or something."
Yeah, it's really bad diarrhea.
Yeah, I guess it depends. You have to be a certain level of confidence to pull this kind of shit off. Is what I'm saying. And I don't think I trust myself.
Is it confidence or just not giving a shit? Because I think you could just not give a shit and really pull it off, right? Because
I think
when you don't, it's not even about being confident. It's just about not giving a shit. Because if you don't give a shit, then there's no consequences, right? You just think, oh well, whatever. Somebody calls me out on it, I'll deal with that. So I'm not too worried about it. And if they don't, well, great, I got away with it. I think you just got to not give a shit about that. Go
anyway,
for it.
So TwitchCon Paris was great. Right. There's no riot problems. People were lovely.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear there was no riot problems around.
That's what they can say next year. Still riot free. Come to TwitchCon Paris.
Yeah, are you going to go to the one in San Diego? I saw that they're starting to advertise it. Are you?
I think it's in Las Vegas.
Oh, is it Las Vegas? Oh, even better. Are you going to go?
Baby. I'd go to Vegas. Fuck
I might do. Do you want to? I'll go if you go.
When is it?
I don't want to go to TwitchCon, but I'll go to Vegas.
Well, I mean, again, we don't really go to TwitchCon.
Not true. I'll do a trip to Vegas under the pretense that I'll go to TwitchCon, and then I just won't go.
Do you reckon you could sell that to your family?
Yeah.
When is it?
It's October the
19th. I can't go.
October.
Yeah. October's a real bad month for me.
October is bad for me.
You're both like, I haven't got anything planned in October. Have you got stuff planned in October?
We're going away.
I mean, yeah.
We're going away. And there's a half term in
It's
October.
half term. Exactly.
Oh,
1st of October. Got to get that car MOT sorted.
He's got to get the MOT sorted for his car, of course.
And there's potentially, if I'm lucky again this year, maybe I go to TI. That would probably be in October. So.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those.
Yeah, and you were willing to miss weddings for that.
I missed my sister's wedding.
They're in October now?
Yeah.
What happened to summer TIs?
It got delayed.
Did you remember that one year when it was going to be... This was COVID.
Oh, right.
It was going to be in Stockholm. And at the last second, the Swedish government literally fell apart. Nobody was in charge. And they needed, Valve and PGL, people to make decisions about visas to get people into the country for TI.
Right.
They were unable to do so because there was no one to push a button that says yes or no. So they were like, fuck, we can't do it in Stockholm. What are we going to do? And then
they did it in Romania.
They did it in Bucharest because
I remember
the guy who runs
telling
PGL,
me about that one, yeah.
Yeah, so he is Romanian and he was like, I will call my friends and we will get visas. So they did that. Everybody turned up. We had a TI. It wasn't great and no fans were allowed and it was kind of, but it was in October. So that meant that from then on, they were like, well, now we're 2 months out. We're going to have to do it in October again because otherwise we'll only have 10 months to run the season. So that delay is the reason that TI is now in October.
This reminded me of something that made me chuckle a little bit recently. It's not related to TI or Dota in any way, but when you said that the guy was Romanian, I know Serbia and Romania aren't the same place or whatever, but
they are not.
But there is probably for people from Romania and Serbia, if you're in an English speaking country or whatever, there's always going to be maybe little isms or lost in translations or whatever. Anyway, I was watching Wimbledon. The final, and that young Spanish lad beat Djokovic. I don't know if you guys watched or whatever, but Djokovic took it really well, actually. He was very, very nice about what he was saying after the match.
He only smashed a couple of rackets.
He did. Yeah. He got fined for smashing one racket, but he said, he's done really well. He's played so well. The better player won everything. Really, really nice, actually. And then he got a bit tearful because, he's pretty accomplished. He's played a lot of tennis or whatever. And then the person interviewing was like, do you have anything else you want to say or whatever? He's like, I just need a minute. I'm crying a little bit here. And then he looked up at his son who was sitting in the crowd, and he looked right at him and he's like, I love you. And later on, let's go home and we can love each other. It was just such a weird, it was just such a weird phrasing. But obviously there's some language barriers, like a second language and stuff, but it just, I thought it was,
my God.
I love it when this stuff happens. Yes.
He was kind of stumbling over what he was trying to say in words and stuff. And then that's what came out. And it was just, I don't know. It was kind of perfect, actually. It was really funny. It was one of those, completely unintentional, but kind of endearing as well. What didn't come across as weird or malicious or whatever. It was just, unfortunate phrasing, but that
is funny.
It was funny. Yeah.
Poor guy.
It was good.
I don't think he gives a fuck. Apparently, he's the greatest of all time, based on his wins.
I think so. I think he is. Yeah.
I mean, I personally, I'm a Federer fan, and I don't care how much you've won. If you've never made me go, holy shit, from a shot, then I don't care.
Yeah.
Federer is one of those guys you just can't believe how good he was.
Would you say that Federer is possibly the GOAT?
I think he is, but apparently not, because he hasn't won as much. So.
Oh, right.
But for me, sport is about entertainment, not just achievement. I don't care if you ploddingly win everything; you're not going to be remembered fondly. And he's not an exciting player to watch. He's boring as fuck, and he's just he's anti-vax dickhead. So I don't.
Yeah, there is the sort of personal life aspect of it as well, but I don't follow enough tennis. I watch Wimbledon sometimes if it's on. But no, I just thought it was funny. I'm not coming from a place where I'm a fan or a hater. In either way, I'm
What
pretty...
are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Because we can hear you in the background.
Are you playing BattleBit?
No, I'm not playing BattleBit. I'm playing Halls of Torment. Have you played this game?
Your
What the
fucking
fuck is Halls of
mechanical
Torment?
keyboard is clattering away. You're talking.
It's like Vampire Survivor. It's very intense.
Can you just pause it?
Yeah,
Smash it away.
Sorry, I didn't realize
It's
it was
just
so
so loud, dude.
loud.
Well, we can both of us know that you're like slightly absent. So,
Yeah,
like,
you're sort of going, oh, it's like, whatever, and it's just like, so it's like he's fucking playing something. I thought you were fishing or something.
Man, I'm always
yeah, we didn't
playing
know.
something.
But we were both like not addressing
I'm
it.
always
Like,
playing something.
Until it got to the point where it was just like, I honestly thought I'd lent on my keyboard at one point. It was so fucking loud.
So loud. Sorry, mate. I do have a
Anyway.
loud mechanical keyboard. I should probably get a new non-mechanical.
No, don't. You got to have a good one.
I like I love the clacking noise.
It's a nice clacky sound.
Yeah, it is.
After I went to Paris, I went straight to Corfu, where I went on holiday with some friends who were sort of an odd group. There's this couple that I met a while ago, Tom and Becky. They're really, really lovely people. They've somehow put together this disparate group of random people. There's like a couple of artists, a couple of Instagram people, a couple of ex-YouTubers, Sparkles from the rock band Area 11 and also Yogscast back in the day.
Yeah.
And a few other people who are in different walks of life. One like travel blogger, one another musician. And it was just, they were so lovely. It was so nice. Like, I don't know, like, it was just such a nice time because there was always someone who was, we had a little WhatsApp group and there's always someone who was like, oh, do you want to play pool? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to walk down the beach or something? There's always someone up for it. But also, like, everyone was there was no pressure, right? It wasn't like there was no one booking stuff for us to do every day. It wasn't like we were having to get in a car for an hour and go to a road.
Right, 6:30 a.m. We've got the hike up the volcano. Everybody there at 5:45. Fuck off.
I hate those because nobody wants to even do that stuff.
Yeah.
The only person who wants to do it is the person who's organized it, and the only reason they're doing it is because they organized it. It's not that anybody actually wants to do,
and because they think other people will enjoy it.
No, they don't want to do it on their own.
Maybe they will. Maybe it'll be worth it. Maybe it'll be a great time.
Bastards, how dare they?
But sometimes it is. But I basically did nothing the whole week. I didn't really move.
It's a fucking holiday, mate. That's why.
Oh, it was bliss, dude. Honestly, the resort's like a little bit gross. Like it's a little bit run down.
Right.
It's in this like.
I mean, Corfu's not the wealthiest place in the world, I'd say. Like,
no,
when we
it's
went
a cheap
there,
holiday.
Yeah, everything was a bit broken.
Have you ever considered
Greece
going on a cruise,
don't do it
on the ocean?
Don't do it.
Or maybe to visit a fjord?
A fjord? Now that's a good cruise. The Hurtigruten, that is a good cruise.
There you
cruise
go.
up the fjords.
You just made that up.
No,
Look
he
it
did
up.
not.
Hurtigruten, Hurtigruten. Apologies, Norwegians, for my
if you get the most recent flight simulator, Lewis, you can go scope it out ahead of time. See what it looks like. See if it would whet your whistle.
Why would I put myself on a frozen vessel going into the north of the
So, first
world?
of all, the fjords of Norway I've never seen any part of the planet that looks like it. It's absolutely breathtaking. Second of all, you see a lot of really cool wildlife and stuff like that. And thirdly, there's a really, really good chance of seeing the Northern Lights and like bigly seeing the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Not just a little bit.
Without any light pollution from a city or towns or anything.
Now, you can go all the way to the Arctic Circle. And I think there's even a Hurtigruten that takes you up as far as like having a look at the retreating ice shelf of the North Pole. That kind of level of north. Because they're so far north. So it's properly up there. It was great. I mean, it was a very chill boat.
Because it was so cold.
Yeah, it was relaxing. There weren't any crazy people. There are some Germans and stuff, and there's a hot tub on the top of the boat. And if you want to hang out with Germans, that's where you'd go in the evenings.
Right.
Okay.
It's pretty much just Germans in there. But yeah, it's just the kind of thing that they do. But it was good. It was really, really cool. You'd have to do it with the right person or people.
Right.
Me and Mrs. F just went. Just me and Mrs. F. It was very romantic.
How many days
Sadly,
was that?
I was like 4 days or something. It wasn't even a particularly long trip. Sadly, we didn't get to see the Northern Lights. It was overcast every night. But we still had a great time. It's beautiful.
Nice.
That does sound actually doable.
It was nice.
I guess you don't go out on the deck very often.
Well, as much as you want to.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, bear in mind, this isn't some kind of Northwest Passage, icebreaker. It's right. Depending on the time of year you go, it's cold, but it's not going to be like ridiculously cold. If you went in December or something, I'm sure it's fucking freezing. But the boat is warm. I mean, it's warm on the boat. You get off and walk around these little Norwegian towns. Ålesund was one we went to, which is eel sound. It's like a part of the water that's full of fucking eels. But Ålesund is like a UNESCO heritage site. It's got all this amazing architecture, like this Art Deco architecture that they preserved. And the one thing they preserved as well is this huge, really disgusting, brutalish skyscraper that some cunt built right on the fucking dock. And I was like, why did you preserve this? He goes, well, we thought, maybe we think it's ugly, but in 100 years, people might think it's beautiful. And I was like, that's a very good point, my man.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm banking on for myself personally as well.
I guess I've always had a soft spot because of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think Douglas Adams was a big fan of the fjords, and remember one of the characters was very proud of creating them or whatever.
Yeah.
There was like Earth was designed by this. Was it Slarty Bartfast or something?
I think it was.
I can't remember.
He did spend a lot of time working on the fjords.
Yes, he was. And I feel like there's something similar in New Zealand on the South Island, I think, with on the coast, which is very similarly.
Well, look, Norway's right
beautiful.
There. And like I know. I was thinking about Norway the other day because my eldest is studying World War II. Did I talk about this on a previous podcast? We're watching The World at War.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah. So the disastrous invasion of Norway immediately made me think, well, at least they got to see the fjords because they are very nice. So yeah, go and have a look at the fjords.
Well, okay.
It's very Lord of the Ringsy. It's like there'll be this huge spike of rock coming out of the water. There'll be all little fishing huts and houses around the base, and then it's really, you could imagine two giant kings holding their hands across the water. It's very Lord of the Ringsy. I loved it.
Well, God, that's my jam. Did you go from London, or did you fly to Norway and get on there?
We flew to some part in the south of Norway,
Bergen
and then we went up to Oslo.
Was it Kattegat?
I don't know. So we went up. I don't think Oslo's on the... Let me have a look at a map of Norway. I can tell you where we went.
Maybe that's Sweden, actually.
We took a little flight.
Of Sweden.
So we went to... okay. So I think we went to something like Stavanger or something like that, and then flew to there, and then we went up through the fjords, and then we went to... Was it Trondheim, or was it not that far north? Mrs. F would know. Either way, went to somewhere and took a flight to Oslo, and then took a flight from Oslo back. I think that's what we did. It was a few years ago. I can't remember anything.
That's fine. Don't worry. I'll look into it.
He's already booked.
Anyway,
he's booked it.
So you went to Corfu.
Went to Corfu. Got there, and I was like, "Why the fuck have I come here again?" Because like on that first night, because I went like there was like hair in the sink in the bathroom, and like the sheets on the beds were like a bit kind of like not like dirty, like had dirt on them in places, and like, do you know what I mean? It was like kind of gross, right? A little bit gross, and I was like, why the fuck am I come back here? Because the first night, because I got in quite late, went like almost straight to bed, and the aircon's like really janky, so I'm like hot, and then the it was like it got cool, it worked itself out, but like that first night there were like so many bugs in my room, like mosquitoes. Like as soon as I would doze off, there'd be like this little wee in your ear, and you'd have to like slap a mosquito, right? And they were proper big, and I swear to God, I killed about 10 of these things, not even joking. And there were more hanging around. And eventually I finally got to sleep. But I woke up with like bites all over me. I was like, fuck me. So I bought one of those little pesticide mosquito killing plugs for the room.
They don't really work though, do they?
Which actually worked fine.
Do you know what? I've got a suggestion for you. And
I was a bit worried I was gassing myself.
Other people, feel free to take note of this. This year, I'm normally the one, I don't know if you guys are in the same boat, I'm normally the one who gets bitten by mosquitoes. If we're on holiday,
right,
I will be the one getting bitten. Not
they
Mrs.
see you as the juicy hunk of meat.
Yeah, so they'll eat me every time. So I've tried everything. I've tried all kinds of repellents and all the rest of it. It never fucking works. So I recently switched colognes. I moved away from Sauvage, which is, according to my sources, a fuckboy cologne.
Right.
I now use Armani
I'm making a note
Code.
of that.
Yeah, I use Armani Code.
Sorry, I thought you said Armani Clunge. I misheard. Sorry.
Armani Code.
Armani Code,
Yeah.
timelessly sensual in a pure and understated way.
Yeah, and it's
This
really
is the first Oriental fragrance created by Giorgio Armani.
Armani. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm not kidding. It actually hasn't. I haven't been bitten once.
Well, it has wood and citrus in it, so that could possibly be something that scares
hate that
away
shit. I think.
bugs. Yeah, I think. All right. Well, make a note, everyone, if you want to.
There
Well, I
you
had
go.
bug spray, and I also had this plug. And the plug, I was worried about again gassing myself with pesticide, but actually, it was totally fine after that. And the aircon kicked in, and it was fine. And like that, once I the sheets were not actually that bad. It's like I spoke to someone because the resort's so nice. We went to the West Coast, and there was this super yacht that pulled up on the beach.
Was it Jay-Z's?
And it was like a proper mega super yacht. We looked it up because you could track them where they're going
Was
around
it that
the world.
guy from Microsoft? Can't remember his name now.
No, but
Steve
we looked
Ballmer.
up who owned it.
No,
It was
not
some
Steve.
Nigerian,
Oh, it's okay.
some Nigerian billionaire, and a little yacht came
Did he
out.
wind down the porthole? Excuse me, I have $1 billion. You must give me $100 so I can transfer you the money. Is that what he said?
He's just like he's like
My money is in
he's like
escrow.
a port-to-port pyramid scheme salesman on a yacht.
Just stopping people at the fucking docks.
So there's a whole. So they got out and went in. You sailed to shore and went into this restaurant in the resort, which is a really nice restaurant. And so at the same time, both a shitty Englishy resort, but also the billionaires are eating there. So I guess that just goes to show that it's what you get. But yeah, there was like some interesting stuff. There's a van that drives up or I think he drives around the island, but he does drive up and down the beach selling fruit. Right? And Tom was like, "Don't buy fruit from him." And I'm like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Well, he's weird because he has these like loudspeakers, and he says like healthy, pineapple, vitamin,
It's just
mango.
just a good salesman. That's what
it's so
peak
creepy,
salesmanship looks like, and you're
He's
too
sort of just
ignorant to recognize
Welcome
it.
to salesmanship, Lewis.
It's
Sorry.
like ASMR. And anyway, I said, "Why not buy him from me if he's creepy? I don't care." And Tom was like, "Well, I saw him.
That's how they sell drugs in Amsterdam
pissing in the
too.
sea."
He pissed in the sea. It's the sea. Who
I
does
know.
that?
That's what I said. He said,
Coca, heroin, coca.
And he said, no. He was standing with his he just pulled his pants down on the beach, pissed in the sea, and then like just turned around as if he was just pissing on the floor. Do you know what I mean? And he sells fruit, so he doesn't wash his hands. And I'm like,
Oh man,
I can't be dealing with that. Anyway, there's also this large nudist beach.
Hell no.
Yes,
I ain't going to no
please.
nudist beach.
I did not know about, but you just go for a walk down the beach and suddenly everyone's naked and you're like, and they're almost all old.
yeah,
Or
that's
And
it.
they're almost all French or German. I'm just
and they're
saying.
almost
And
all very
Italians.
wrinkly in some way or like
Just
sunburned
fucking
in some
what is
way.
going on? Like, honestly, you can't, why does it have to be the beach? Why don't we have nudist fields? Why is it the beach? Ask yourself
Well, they
that.
do that. They had that carry-on camping. Remember, that was a nudist campground.
Yeah, that's true. They do have
They
camps.
do
But
have
I'm just
nudist
saying, you're not
camps.
walking in the countryside and suddenly you come across a bunch of nude hikers who are like, oh, yeah, this is the nude hiking trail. Then you put your clobber on at the other end of it. No.
I
Get
watched,
your fucking clothes on. It's a beach.
What's her face? Remember,
not British.
I think she was in Harry Potter. Miriam, Margolyes.
Margolyes?
Yeah, she went to a nudist place in Australia. She had like this show where she was going around Australia. She went to like this full nudist. I don't know. They seem like a cult to me, but I don't know if they
They
were.
do
No,
a cult.
there's
feel
something
a
going
little
on.
bit like
Yeah, there's
that.
something going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
and
way,
so,
once Miriam
anyway,
Margolyes had been there, they shut it down.
we're sort of walking along.
She didn't take her kid
and-
off, if that's what
Oh,
you're
good on her.
insinuating. Yeah, but
We
she's like
did,
80
like-
years old, so
I know.
Right. We turn this corner and there's like, and the girl in front of me stops and is like, she's like, there's a man just round there with his cock out.
Nice.
And I'm like,
And you ran around the
Hold
corner
my
as
beer.
fast as you could.
I gotta go.
Where?
almost like saying, what do we do?
How
Or,
big
or
is it?
warning me. And I'm like, you
Is
know,
it
just,
glistening? I have to know.
just they're all very like,
Is it veiny?
it's not like, they're always like in these compromising positions as well, like legs spread, like
Yeah.
gooch on full display.
Yeah.
And
They're
I'm like,
doing fucking.
I don't need to
push-ups.
see old men's hairy
Yeah.
gooches like up and down the beach, left, right, and centre.
Excuse me, sir.
Anyway.
I didn't come here to see your gleaming cock. I came to sunbathe.
Anyway, so the next day, I thought, fuck it, I'm going to walk the other way down the beach, right, and see where that goes. And so I'm walking down the beach, and again, there's like another whole bunch of fucking nudists there. And I'm like, what? We've come to this resort by
You went
accident.
the other way, and you were expecting the other way as well. I would have expected you to go the other way and come across people
more
wearing
clothes.
snowsuits,
full parkas,
exactly. like Kenny from South Park, like it done up like over your whole face and everything. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
there needs to be some balance.
Anyway, so that was something I can't. I'm just glad I wasn't wearing my glasses. You know what I mean? Because it helped definitely with the burned into my retinas issue of I don't need to see so many old men's ass crack.
Talking of old men, my mum's grandfather died a long time ago.
I was going to say, if it recently, then that's kind of fucked up.
I met him when I was about 10.
Sure.
And he was very old then. That would have been in the 80s. And he was a World War I bomber. And he was a Air Force man, a flyer in the First World War. He was a real old gent. And he died.
Loved nude sunbathing.
Loved it. He died. Left a lot of stuff to my mum's uncle, and he died a couple of months ago, very sadly. Or maybe it was about 3 or 4 months ago. Either way, he died and left some stuff to my mum. He left her some money, which was very kind, but he also left a bunch of family photos and relics and stuff like this that he had accrued. This is all on my mum's side of the family over his lifetime. So my mum's seeing photos and documents and all this stuff.
I see. So this is quite interesting. So I guess because he was the last of his generation.
Exactly, yeah. And also because he's the last of that line, my mum's sort of family line, if you like. So he had all this stuff. And
did he have any secrets?
He didn't have secrets, but my mum going through so I'll tell you some of the stuff. Another family member of theirs brought a load of stuff to my mum's house. He had a bunch of watches that I said we should definitely get looked at because they're properly old watches. My great-grandfather's watch that he probably had his entire life, a proper old wind-up pocket watch, that's got to be, all these things need to be insured, I think. Anyway, a load of old photos, a load of old files, and a last will and testament from her great-great-grandfather or something like that, like way, way, way back. And she looked at it. She looked up his name.
How old is this?
Oh, this is from the mid-19th century. Right. He was the Deputy Governor General of Barbados.
Wow.
And sadly, left in his will to some other guy 117 slaves. In addition to the plantation that he owned. So, yeah, it was pretty awkward. My mum was... The funny thing is my mum says, just found out, looking through these files, my great-great-grandfather was the Deputy Governor of Barbados. And I immediately thought, so he was a slave owner. And she said, you don't think he had any slaves, do you? And I was like, probably did, Mum. I'll look into it. So I Googled his name and bing, bang, bosh, right there on the, there's a website that researches all this stuff. Yeah, slave owners, 100%. And crazily enough, there is a Barbadian footballer who has my mum's family last name as his last name. So he's probably descended from some of the slaves that were on that plantation that my great-great-great-grandfather owned.
Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers.
I mean, it's going to happen to... there's probably people listening to this right now who have an ancient relative who is involved.
Of course.
With, either on the English side or even maybe the American side or whatever.
Especially the American side, I'd say. It was everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it was huge. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that we're not that far removed. Like, we're really not that far removed.
No.
If we're still, families are still handing down to each other. This wasn't like 1,000 years ago. This was relatively recent.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely bonkers. I remember that the abolition of slavery in the British sort of parliament and everything was a big deal, but I guess that it only applied to British soil, like specifically Britain, not overseas holdings, because I didn't think we still had slaves in the 1860s in Britain. But
I think the Caribbean was this loophole.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the Cayman Islands for money. This was like the Cayman Islands, but for slaves. You could still have them there.
I think the whole all of it is none of it's good. Even like when you look at it, like, you know, the government paid out tons of money to when they abolished slavery. Yeah. But it was to recompense rich people for the loss of their slaves. Do you know what I mean? None of it ever went to the slaves. You know, there was all sorts of horrible stuff that happened. This history is it's pretty nasty. How many relatives? So how many tiers up is this great grandfather? Do you know what I mean? What I'm asking, I guess, is how many great grandparents relatives do you actually have? Is it like 16, 32, 64? It goes up quite quickly, right?
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I heard, and I don't know how true this is like people always follow the father's side, like father line, right? But the mother's side, like the matrilineal line, is more reliable because a lot of people. Because if you go back like 10 generations, right, there's going to be 10 different men, and that means there's much more chance that that the man wasn't actually the father. But the mother is always the mother, right? The person who gives birth, it's pretty obvious that they gave birth unless they adopted a child or rescued a child or something and said it was their own, which can happen and has happened, I'm sure, many times in history. But the father, you know, there's a lot of times when it's like, was he really the father? Was it just a quick marriage to hush it up? So I always am dubious when people go back in line of like a long father line, like how much of that DNA actually is theirs, especially since it's already like 132th or 164th quite quickly, you know, within like 5 generations, you keep doubling your number of grandparents, right? So it's like when people say they're half French or whatever, and I'm like, oh, your mum was French. Like, oh no, my grandparents were French. And I'm like, so which one? Oh, you know, you're not half French at all. you're like an eighth French or whatever. Yeah.
Which is really, I mean, at that point, you can't really claim it. It's like, I think once it's past half, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I've got, I would say one quarter Irish, but I'm not going to claim that I'm Irish. Like that's just silly. Like I'm not going to say, oh, I'm Irish. Like,
well, because your grandparents might have been living in France, but they might have been born in Italy, which would make them Italian. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, you're going off like such weird information here.
Yeah, I think it's where you were born and then where your parents were born is pretty much what defines you. Not where your great grandparents were from, because it's just a waste of time.
Oh my god, this is pretty unpleasant to learn that you're descended from slave owners, though, dude.
Well, I mean, it was weird because
they're not going to put you on that Who Am I show or whatever it's called. You know that one.
They do.
Who do you think you
think you are? And it turns out that,
who the hell do you think they are is what they call that episode. But,
oh my god, yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's one of those things. What can I do? I can't be like, you know, I can't do anything about it. It's just my great grandfather or whatever was this guy, and what can I do?
No.
I think there's a road there still named after him, so maybe they could rename the road. There you go.
That's a good idea. All right, put a petition forward.
There you go.
Jesus
Christ.
It's
hard to know.
What a revelation.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I watched that episode. We brought Pyrion Flax back to Barbados to look into
apologize. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh,
I didn't see one penny of that plantation. I want to know what the fuck. What happened to our family plantation?
Frittered away.
Didn't get a penny of that money.
You want to go over there and make it great again?
Yeah. Wasn't it someone who, like Benedict Cumberbatch, who recently had a plantation that he sold or something? Yeah, he had the 7th great grandfather of Benedict Cumberbatch had a plantation, and his family could face a claim for damages over its historical links to slavery.
Wait, so he sold it for money recently?
Right, but at this point, I mean, there are still areas that you could call a plantation. It just doesn't have slaves working on it. It's still a definition of a place. Like, it's not like the term plantation is so loaded, obviously, because of its history, but it's just a place now. It's just a plantation. It's just, you know, it doesn't have any fucking people enslaved to work there for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a place called Draxhall Estate.
Draxhall! Welcome to Draxhall! You'll never leave!
By a Tory MP. Richard Plunkett Earl Drax, it's a quadruple-barreled surname. He is actually a current MP. He's also a captain. He owns a big ex-slave plantation, and apparently Cumberbatch is a part of that family. And they're looking to try and get it back.
I mean, well, I don't know what Benedict can do about it, really. It's Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a busy man. He's got a career in TV and films.
It is, well, but then again, like, this maybe is why he's famous, though, right?
What, Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, because he made money through slavery. That money stayed in the family. He was rich, wealthy, had a good education, was posh, was able to get theatre training, and that money has, down the centuries, given him this career where he's made billions.
He hasn't made
billions.
There's
no way he's made billions.
Many millions. He's made many
He's
millions.
made a couple
of
million for sure.
Well, I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people in England that you could point fingers at then, like most people.
Well, yeah. I feel like, I don't know enough about this, honestly, to make it cool. Wow, it's difficult. It's a deep topic we've just waded into from talking about old men's gooches through to this.
Similar kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, he is Flax's relative would have also had a gooch.
So and he might have enjoyed parading his gooch. And
it's quite hot in Barbados, so I assume that he probably. Maybe I don't know. Was he in a cult as well?
A cult?
Yeah,
like a nudist cult.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
How would you know? Did you find any
I don't know.
thongs in his belongings?
But here's the weird thing: he died in the 1860s.
Well, I guess you wouldn't find any clothing, would you, in his belongings?
He died in the 1860s.
Yeah,
there's a conspicuous lack of pants in this man's belongings.
But so here's the weird thing: slavery was abolished in the British Empire in 1831.
So he kept on. I don't know if.
Passed.
So it says here,
or he just didn't update his will.
During the Christmas holiday of 1831, a large-scale slave revolt in Jamaica, known as the Baptist War, broke out. It was organized originally as a peaceful strike by the Baptist minister Samuel Sharp. The rebellion was suppressed by the militia of the Jamaican plantocracy and the British garrison 10 days later in early 1832. Because of the loss of property and life, the British Parliament held 2 inquiries. The result contributed greatly to the abolition of slavery with the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. Up until then, sugar planters from rich British islands such as Jamaica and Barbados were able to buy rotten and pocket boroughs, and they were able to form a body of resistance to moves to abolish slavery. In the end, they just said, no, we're going to fucking get rid of it. This West India lobby was later evolved into the West India Committee, purchased enough seats to be able to resist the overtures of abolitionists. So they just paid to buy shit boroughs where you could just fucking get in as an MP and then vote things down. But they pushed it through. So slave owners got paid by the British government, the Slave Compensation Act.
Yeah.
So they paid out £20 million to all these slave owners to free these men and women. But if that was in the 1830s, half the money went to slave-owning families in the Caribbean and Africa, while the other half went to absentee owners living in Britain. So what I want to know is, if he's still leaving people slaves in his will in the 1860s, how does that work?
Maybe it was an out-of-date will.
Yeah, it probably was an out-of-date will. It's got to be.
Guys, it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about this period of history.
Yeah.
Unless he was just off the grid completely, is
that no one was
like those Japanese soldiers
really...
who didn't realize the war ended because they were living in a cave, like in the 1980s or whatever. They turned up and they were like, "Is the war still on?" They're like, "No. It's been done for a long time, guys. Come on. Maybe your ancestor, the same thing happened to him, you know?
Maybe.
It was a situation like that.
So we had a lovely time in Corfu. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
It was very restful. I read a book. I read a book called Circe, which Boba had given me, which is like a Greek sort of a reimagining, retelling of a minor character from, I think, the Odyssey, or sometimes these Greek myths aren't really necessarily fleshed out. They're full of characters, but you don't. But Circe is like this kind of terrifying witch character who lives on an island and helps or traps men and helps them out or something. I don't know. She's a bit weird. But
I read a book recently for the first time in God knows how long. I can't remember the last time I read an actual book, a paperback book. It was a book called The Hepatitis Bathtub and Other Stories. It's about the band NoFX, who I went to see in Leeds earlier this summer. It came out a while ago, but it was kind of to celebrate their 30 years of being a band or 25 years of being a band or whatever. And it was just,
is this where you went?
It was like memoirs from all the members of the band. So like it was.
You went away in the last 2 weeks, didn't you? To Wembley.
I saw Blur at Wembley as well.
Blur, yeah.
That was incredible.
How come you're getting time off to go and see rock bands in the UK?
Well, because I go for less than 24 hours at a time.
He goes, he comes back.
I go and I come back. I don't. We were there for barely any time. We just went, saw the show, came back. I did the same thing.
Did you go London City Airport or
no? Just Heathrow. I don't think we have a direct to London City anymore from here, and Gatwick. The options are a bit limited, but you can fly BA from here straight to Terminal 5, so it wasn't too bad.
I see. By the way, I've just checked, and it turns out it was the great grandfather left it in his will to this other lad in 1832, and then the next year they were like, no more slaves. So he left them to him in his will. When he died just before the abolition of slavery. Then this guy inherited the slaves and immediately had to get rid of them. That's what happened. Sorry, just check. Okay. Just to clarify.
Well, no, good. I'm glad we figured that out.
Yeah.
Well, right in. I'm sure we'll have a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure there's got to be somebody else out there who probably has a similar.
I mean, look, our parents
way
were
back
probably
relation
reasonable
or something,
people, but the further back you go, the more fucked up it gets.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So what was Blur like in concert?
Great. I mean, it's a big show. I've never been to anything like that before in my life. Wembley. I've never been to a big stadium before in my life. I think the biggest thing I would have ever been to before that was I went to see Monday Night Raw, WWE Monday Night Raw in Montreal at the Molson Center, I think, which is big, but Wembley was just fucking enormous. I couldn't believe it. Like even when we turned up for the opening, we didn't watch all the opening acts, but when we turned up, there was one of the opening acts.
So who was it? You and your wife?
Yeah, and my brother-in-law as well. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was just it blows you away. Like it's fucking. I can't believe the noise of all the people. Like when there's nothing happening, it's the weirdest sound. You feel like you're going insane almost. Like it's.
So I'm honestly shocked. You've never been to anything in a big stadium in your life.
Not that I remember. Like not certainly not anytime recently. Like I've been to like shows and stuff. I've been to festivals. Like I've been to Reading. I went to the V Festival. Like
right, but it's like the bowl effect of a stadium.
Yes, yeah. It's just really and we had seats that we didn't have seats on the ground. Like we had stand seats, right? Like further back. So you just got this this view of the whole thing. But it made me realize that I want to go. I don't even really watch football or like football that much, but I would go watch a football match at Wembley for sure. Like that. Well, insane.
I mean, I saw the England's first international there. I think we played Italy, and I believe we lost. I think it might have been the under-21s, or it might have been the full team, but I watched it.
England's first internet. What, back in like 1916?
At the new Wembley.
At the new
Wembley, you dingus. I went to a show last night. It was a really intimate gathering. It was very small. I was in the front row, about 3 feet from the performers. It was my youngest's end of school play.
Nice.
And they did Shakespeare Rocks, which actually had some banging tunes, but the jokes were a little bad. There was one joke I laughed at. I was the only one who laughed at it very loudly, and everybody stared at me, and then they carried on with the play, which was a little bit of an awkward moment. And the joke was that they arrived somewhere, and one of them says, "Oh no, there's 3 witches here," and he said, "It's worse than that. We're in Scotland." And I just thought that was funny, the way the kid delivered it. And I was like, "Ha ha ha!" And everybody kind of looked at me. But the problem was, I was so close to the kids; they all stood up and sang, and it was always the same kid opposite me. So I was just having to stare at this little kid, and I was like, "I know this kid. Like I know his parents. I know the kid." So I was trying to look at all the other kids equally to try and not just stare at this kid, because just singing to a passively faced grown-up who's just staring at you, I thought that's going to freak them out. So I tried to make sure I
I mean, you've seen your Instagram.
Yes,
exactly. It's like looking at my Instagram. So I'm looking around, but then I'm thinking, he's singing right at me and I'm not looking at him, so now this is weird. So I just but I can't smile at this kid because, I know him. I can't just be like one of those nodding and smiling parents. So I just kind of tried to remain passive. I should never have sat in the front row. I'm not front row material for that kind of performance.
No, you can't pull off the front row. It's like some people are like not middles on the table. No. Like when so we had these big meals, right, on holiday. And sometimes I was like trying to position people in like the right place. So like, the more shy people are on the edges, but like the middle is like trying to engage everyone in the conversation. like trying to make sure there's no one like just bored on their phone. You know, it's an art.
Yeah,
being
you can't. I mean, you
dinner.
can't put an edge person in the middle. It's no good.
No,
it
he ruins the
everything.
meal.
Yeah,
This is a Larry David thing as
but
well.
It's one of those things that we all knew it, but he put it into words.
Yeah,
you just
like,
have
this
to
guy
have
in the
the
middle.
Right.
This
Yeah,
guy's
you're
no
not
good.
a middle.
He's not a good middle.
You can't middle. And she's like, "What the fuck?" I love the way they're talking in the kitchen. Who the fuck put him in the middle? I know. He's ruining the whole dinner. Larry, you got to say something.
You're not a front row guy.
Is your youngest daughter is finishing up at primary, right? So she's off to secondary next year.
Last year.
My son's the
It's
same.
funny because I see all these kids, dude, and I've known them since they were in reception, and I know their parents and stuff, and they're all growing up.
Yeah.
And they've all, especially in this last year or two, they fucking explode in height. There are some kids in her class that are like the height and like of a 14, 15-year-old already.
It's crazy.
They're gigantic.
A couple of them just take off. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
It's funny with the like we know quite a few, or at least recognize quite a few of the parents and kids from my son's year, because he was our first kid to go to school. But with my daughter, we know nobody. Like we made sure we didn't know anybody.
Yeah, first time you get to know parents.
Yeah.
The second time you're like, I don't want to.
I don't want to. Yeah,
I know
exactly.
Enough. I know enough.
So with some of them we know too, just from birthday parties or whatever. Like we say hi to, but not like with a lot of the kids and parents in my son's year, because I think it's not that we made more of an effort. It was just more of a new thing to us at the time, right? We thought we had to. But then with the second one, you're just like, I know I do not have to, so I'm not going to.
But I think you're reaching out to other parents because you kind of want to not look for support, but you're looking for a shared experience where you guys can say, and you need someone, because school is new to you as much as it is your kid. Because I haven't been a parent at school until my kids started going. I had no fucking idea what I had to do. And now you sort of need that support group. Has anyone got the spelling homework? And we have like a WhatsApp group, what's the deal with the summer fair? We need help with the PTA? All this stuff.
Yeah.
So you get to know the parents through that. But with the second one, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't need help. You're not going to make friends with some other fucking parent. I don't know this fucking Yahoo from anybody. Yeah. We're not going to walk up and say hi. Fuck off.
Yeah. Just go all good fellas about it.
Yeah.
What the fuck do I need to fucking do?
I don't need this fucking guy.
I don't believe this fucking guy.
You must make friends with them though.
No,
right?
Not really. No. With the first kid, a little bit. You chat to people a bit more and stuff, and because what Flax was saying, you're looking for people just in a similar situation to you. But
are there just too many?
There are a lot.
You've already got some,
and they come and go too.
New friends.
Like sometimes like when my kid was in nursery. All the kids that were in nursery with him, we were like, oh my God, this is crazy. He's going to be in school with these kids for like 6 years or whatever. But then tons of them leave and new ones come in and stuff. And you just,
there's always kids leaving.
It's a revolving door.
I feel like you're people who, I guess it changes, right? But I thought your kids were younger, so you were really actively like waiting outside the school for
Well, we still do
that,
but we just don't talk to anyone when we do it.
Right.
Good. I mean, again, you like we used to with my older kid, but with the middle one,
are they just there on their phones or with their headphones in or something?
The older kids now a lot are, and their parents.
No, I meant the
too,
parents.
Yeah. Or they don't even come to the school. They wait like at the parking lot for them, or some of them just walk home far too, like all the way through town and stuff. Like, I don't know. Okay. I mean, they're old enough too, but I don't know. We wouldn't want ours to, but
each to their own.
I used to walk home when I was about that age, but it was different time, different location as well. Was maybe a bit safer? I don't know. It's the age old. I think everybody goes through this. It's like, oh, it was safer when I was younger. It probably wasn't, but you were allowed to do things.
We've had emails about this. I can't remember what they were. I mean, I just think we've become a bit more cautious.
Yeah, I think so. Parenting has changed for sure from the 80s. Like my parents.
Certainly.
Not massively hands-on. Like when I was old enough to do stuff, they would just be like, yeah, okay, take the bus or walk, whatever, as long as we don't have to do it, sort of thing. So rightly or wrongly.
I mean, here's one thing for sure that I know is that the safety that they put around people who is allowed to work with kids.
Yes.
Nowadays, I am so fucking glad that exists. Because we didn't have any of that when I was a kid. And I can't remember if I told this before, but when I was with the cadets, Lewis, you might remember this. When we were with the cadets at school, they needed some older guys to watch us because there are firearms involved. We're doing dangerous shit. So for some reason, some of the guys that worked with the CCF were former pupils who had left the school, were now grown men, but would still come back. I assume they did territorial army stuff at the weekends as well. But they would go away on camps with us. They would go away on the trips with us and the boats and all the rest of it. They were not teachers. They had no background checks. They were just guys who knew people at the school. And they were allowed now to work with children.
Yeah.
That would not happen
I
now.
don't think so. No.
That would not happen in a million fucking years.
They're
now.
like camp counselors type situation.
All that kind of shit. And anybody who thinks that that's crazy, you're nuts. Because we know what fucking went down in the 70s and 80s. And in the 90s as well. And that's hopefully now becoming way, way, way less common.
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of kid safety, I talk to young people now who grew up outside London, outside a big city. They have the same life. It's the same level of freedom.
Yeah.
It's just if you live somewhere busy, you get more worried. If you live on a busy street, your kids don't play out as often
honestly,
as much
like where we live, it's not so much that we're worried about anything other than the roads and the sidewalks are just not great. You know, you're always almost hanging out into a road, and it's a small place, so the roads are busy all the time. You know what I mean? Like all it takes is like 5 or 6 cars, and it's fucking packed. But there's certain spots where it's just not safe to cross, or you wouldn't leave it to a kid to figure it out, sort of thing. You know, whereas like where I grew up in the suburbs in Canada, there's a lot more space. It was a lot quieter during the day. Like when I was walking to school, walking home from school, there's like barely any traffic because most of the traffic was, you know, on the highway to go downtown or back or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just completely different. I'm not concerned about like who's out and about to that extent or whatever. It's more just road safety. And I just don't think my kids are there with road safety yet, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the time, if we're walking with them, they're almost just like throwing themselves in the road, and you're just like, what are you doing? You have to look, like you got to make sure that there's no cars and stuff. You can't just step out into the road, sort of thing. And if we weren't there, I don't know what they would do. So I don't know. It's one of them. Man, a big cities probably is the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's if you're in a big city, I think it's always been.
Yeah. But
anyway. That's an hour and 10 minutes of podcast.
I know, and 10 solid minutes of real dad talk as well.
Oh, you gotta wrap it up. Lewis,
there's a whole hour proper dad talk, honestly.
We're going to hear about your dating exploits next week, Lewis.
Yeah.
Because you've been away for 2 weeks.
I know,
that's what I'm saying. You've been away. That's what I'm saying. You've been away for 2 weeks.
So love has to take a vacation, Flax.
I'm saying I want to hear about a date you must set up before the next episode. You must.
All right, I'll do my dating homework.
Yeah, that's a boy.
And don't forget, as much as the theory, focus on the practical side of things as well.
Yeah, that's
right. The oral exam. I can handle that.
Oh, get in there, son. Yeah, get in there, my son.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.